Bryson, welcome back to the interview room.
Thank you.
Congratulations on a 8 birdie, 1 bogey, 65. You birdie the first 3, then you birdie 5 of the last 7. Leader in the clubhouse, incredible 65. Tell us about your great round today in really windy conditions.
Well, it's always great getting off to a hot start. 3 under, your first 3 holes kind of get you settled. I knew it was going to be a tough day today with the wind and even tomorrow. So a lot of patience is required around this golf course, and making sure you're just stroking it on your line, putting it good, hitting good iron shots, and driving it well. I mean, in order to win major championships, you've got to, especially out here, you've got to do everything well.
Great. Open up to questions. Luke.
Bryson, that second shot into 15 was pretty insane. Incredible, I mean. What was going on there? Would love to just hear what you were debating doing and what you ended up doing.
Yeah, so funny enough, I was just trying to get to the back right section of the green, and I pushed it a little bit. It clipped the tree. I hit 4 pine needles rather than 5, and it worked out perfectly. But it was a little scary of a shot. I shouldn't have probably done it, but I took a risk. I was willing to take it, and I was rewarded, fortunately. But no, I was trying to go to that back right section to have a nice chip back down to that pin, kind of where Thor was, and I got lucky. I almost made it, but I'll settle for birdie there any day.
And were you just thinking about punching out, or was it always a go-for-it situation?
I was, but the wedge shot wasn't going to be any easier for me, especially downwind, and greens were getting firm. So it was more of a get it to the backside and try and chip up for me.
Rex.
Bryson, how has your game evolved over the last 3 years? How are you a different golfer now than maybe you were 3 years ago?
First off, again, winning at Winged Foot helped me understand how to win big tournaments, but a lot of patience, especially out here on this golf course when you feel like it's gettable. You see it's right in front of you, but it's just tricky out here. It can be super tricky, and making sure that you play aggressively, but in a safe manner to where it's not going to get you into too much trouble. So for me, as my game has progressed, I've learned to be I try to be a little bit smarter out there on the golf course and not try and go for broke and just go for every flag, but place it in the right position.
Bob.
Bryson, why have you struggled here since your first time as an amateur when you actually had a really good tournament?
Why have I struggled? I don't know. Only God knows that. For me, I can theorize on what it is, but there's really no need to. For me, it's a focus of how do I execute the next best shot and put myself in a good place to make birdie or par and not make a big number. And I think I've made a lot of big numbers out here. So taking that off the radar and putting the golf ball in the correct place and having some equipment that performs well for me has been leading to some success recently.
Jim Gray.
Hey, Bryson. You've mentioned patience twice in the first 2 minutes. How hard has it been for you to work on your patience?
It's more just getting older. I'm 30 now, and I'm not old. I still feel like I'm a youngster. But it's definitely taken time to get comfortable and get into a place where, you know what, no matter what happens today, I'm okay. I got a great life outside of the game of golf, and my friends are still going to be my friends, and the people that love me the most are still going to love me, and focusing on playing a fun game. Taking that perspective has definitely enlightened me a little bit and allowed me to play a little more free.
Daniel.
You seem to be in a much better headspace than you were a couple of years ago. How would you compare where you are mentally right now to where you were when you were really the center of attention at every tournament that you showed up to?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a journey, to say the least, one that I have thoroughly enjoyed, but also it's taken a big toll on me in numerous situations. I will say that I've learned a lot from it, and a lot of it was things that weren't really in my control at that point in time. I won't go into it, but I'm in a place now where I've figured some stuff out with my golf game, golf swing. I'm just in a comfortable place where I'm doing the same thing every single week, so I feel like it's just ingraining consistently over the course of time. I'm not trying new things, I'm not doing new things, I'm just doing more of the same. And I feel like that's really what's been different from a couple years ago to now, like I'm just doing the same thing every single day in and day out. I'm not trying something new. I'm trying to figure something out. And that's what I feel like is just accumulated into playing some really good golf.
Alex.
Bryson, a lot of people will ask, now that you're with Liv, can you talk about the routine you just got done talking about, how much that may or may not benefit you coming into majors, where if you were playing on the PGA Tour, you'd be playing all the time and you'd have to go ahead and work through whatever issues you had?
Yeah, so you're talking about the schedule, essentially? Yeah, you can look at it multiple ways. For me, I feel like that sort of schedule that Liv has provided me good ample time to get ready for tournaments like this. And look, it'd be fine either way. I'm not going to side one way or the other. It is what it is, and I've just made good use of the time that I've been allocated on Liv to work on my golf swing, work on the equipment that I have, and get into a place where I'm super comfortable going into the week. We played Doral last week, which is a brutal test of golf, and I feel like it was a good thing that we played there and got ready for this week, because this is obviously one of the best tests in golf.
Gabrielle.
Hi, Bryson. What are your kind of core memories from that week in 2016 when you won low amateur honors?
A core memory. Well, first off, meeting, and I'm saying this because it is a tremendous honor, just being an amateur at Augusta National and playing in the Masters and being the low amateur champion was probably the highlight, is probably one of the biggest highlights of my career. It really set the stage for me to be comfortable out in every venue that I'm at, and meeting a lot of the members like Mr. Nelson over here. He's been a great friend of mine, and numerous others that have just helped build my pathway out here in my life. So the core memory is winning the low amateur trophy, and also after I finished and was a low amateur champion, we went over to Dr. Rice's cottage, and we had just a couple drinks, and we had fun watching Danny Willett come in and win that tournament. And so that's a pretty big core memory. I also have another one, funny. I'm not going to throw Paul Casey, my teammate, under the bus, but he did give me some jabs walking down the 10th tee. He was asking me some science questions, and Jordan, who was in the group, was just finally like, dude, you got to stop messing with this guy. Just a little amateur, and Paul Casey was nudging me the whole time with Johnny Long Socks. So those are a few core memories that I have that really stick in my head.
Mark.
Hey, Bryson. Just kind of curious, you've been obviously a very polarizing figure the last few years in the game, and I'm wondering in your mind what some of the misconceptions and misperceptions about you may be in your mind.
Well, I'll just say this, like, I'm a very passionate individual, and some people can take that in a pretty negative way. Others can take it in a way of, wow, he's trying to pave a pathway in his own path. I think that's a pretty big misconception, is that, I'm divisive. I'm really not. I don't try to be. It may come off that way because I'm passionate about certain things and certain subjects. That's up for interpretation and opinion. But, and look, I respect everybody's opinion and what they think. I have no issues, and I understand that the pathway that I pave is can be viewed in multiple ways. I'm just learning to be myself and continuing to be okay with what happens. And from my perspective, what's been really nice and helpful for me is doing a lot of content on YouTube. As crazy as that sounds, it's been really awesome to see how I can affect a lot of people's lives, the junior golfers' lives, middle-aged men even. They're coming out here shouting, saying, thanks for the content, appreciate what you do online. It's really cool to see that type of transformation and change. I don't know, it's just, I have a new perspective on life with that.
Jaime Diaz.
Bryson, you say you are doing the same thing. I wonder if you can describe what you settled on technically and style-wise in terms of your game. I mean, you went all in on distance. You seem to pull back slightly. Can you explain the kind of player you are different from perhaps what you envisioned 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah, I think I've gotten equipment that is performing a little differently for me, and I'm settled on that, and I'm just saying to myself every day I get up, just swing the same way you have been for the past 7-8 months since I put it in play at Greenbrier, and just go back to those feels every single day. I know that works. I mean, I shot 58 with it. So, and I know this game is ever changing and it's always moving. It's a moving target. But for me, it's going back to that day, those few days I played, shooting 61, 58 on the weekend, and going, all right, what did I do there that was so good? And how do I keep doing it? And just looking back, reflecting on that, and making sure I'm feeling that same motion that I've settled in on. And the motion is really just tilt the shoulders and swing more inside out. That's literally all it is. And then on my putting, it's just take it straight back, straight through. That's really the two biggest things that I've just focused on over the
Are you
past
swinging
7
slightly
months.
easier?
You could say that. I'm still aggressive. I may not be necessarily as fast, but when I want to swing fast, I can get it to 200 miles an hour pretty easily. It's maybe 3 or 4 balls I'm there, but I'm around, I think, like 190 when I'm going at it normally. But just with the equipment that I have, it works really well at those speeds.
Michael Collins.
Bryson, Rory told me at Arnold Palmer that he wished you were there playing. And you've said, too, that you really want golf and the two leagues and players to come together. What has it been like this week, now that you've been here a few days, being with all of those guys? And what does it mean to know that Rory thought it would have been a better tournament if you would have been there at Arnold Palmer?
I appreciate him saying that, first and foremost. He is a huge voice for the game, and I respect his voice. I respect his opinion. And him saying that definitely, hopefully, shines a light in this game that is pretty divisive right now, where we can all kind of hopefully come back together at some point and say, look, how do we make this work for both sides? How do we make this work for the fans, patrons here, but fans outside of here? And I think it's the most important thing we can do for the game of golf moving forward. We now have a duty to make sure that this great game continues and grows in a positive manner now compared to the divisiveness that's occurred over the last few years. I personally think that we can figure that out quickly if we just sit down and hash it out for a week.
Question over there.
Bryson, what does it mean to you and maybe some of your peers at LIV who are here that Greg Norman not only came, but he's walking the course, he's there when you get off, he's jumping from 7 to 18 so we can see 2 or 3 of you guys in a few minutes?
I think it shows he cares, first off. Look, I've not had any poor interactions with Greg my entire career. He was with Cobra for a long time when I was with Cobra as well, Cobra Puma. And he was always great to me, and he's been great to me through LIV, and I respect him coming out here and showing support. I think that people can view it multiple ways. I just look at it as a sign that he cares, and nothing more than that. And if people have a different perspective on that, then that's up for them to decide. But in my opinion, I think it shows he just really cares about the game in general.
Yeah, Bryson, how much has it bothered you that you haven't played well here? And toward trying to correct that, what was the importance of that January Recon mission, I guess, you had here?
Yeah. Well, the January Recon mission, for me, I guess you could say it was a mission. It was playing with the new driver that I have in the bag, learning the golf course again, making sure that I'm comfortable with certain lines and step up on 13 and making sure I can hit a big high draw around the corner, or even 7, hitting a driver down that tight alley. Just getting comfortable with lines with the equipment that I had. I think that was really important for me to see that at the beginning of the year. And then I had one last Monday as well. And it was just great to see how the driver and irons were performing leading into this week, knowing that I was a different golfer with the equipment I had and the mindset I had. So it was very important, and the difference is definitely equipment. It's also being more patient and knowing what the golf course can give you and what it can take away and respecting it.
Well, and how much has it bothered you that you haven't been able to play as well as you might have wanted to?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you don't play well, any golf tournament kind of bothers me, even if it's, any event you're at, we're always trying to win. Like, we're not just going there to hit it around and have a hit and giggle. I mean, I'm trying to win every single golf tournament. So, yeah, it's been severely disappointing, especially with how well I love this golf course, love the patrons, love the members, love the golf course conditions. everything about it. It's something I've dreamed of always winning my entire life.
Ryan.
Bryson, you've had the mad scientist phase, you've had the bulky basher phase. What phase do you think you're in now?
The golf phase. I'd say the golf phase for sure. Trying to be the best golfer I can be.
Yeah, Bryson, you just got some attention a couple years ago for the par 67 comment. I just wonder how you reflect on that now, and has time changed your perspective at all there?
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, again, the comment was definitely misinterpreted. I said it, and I respect people's opinions on it. For me, I have a level of respect for this golf course that's a little bit different than a couple years ago. And clearly today was a great test of golf, and I was able to conquer a very difficult golf course today. In regard to the 67 comment, you know, you mess up. I'm not a perfect person. Everybody messes up, and you learn from your mistakes, and that was definitely one.
On.
Bryson, can I request you to analyze your round today in terms of relative to three important factors? One, your technique and skills. Two, your knowledge and experience of the course. And the conditions today.
Man, it seems like a SAT exam or something, questioning me like that. What was the first one again?
One is your technique and skills. The second is your knowledge and experience of the course. And the third is the conditions today.
Yeah, I'd say the first one, just technique. I mean, I'm just in a place where I'm repeating my motion, trying to do the same thing over and over again, hitting a couple cut shots every once in a while. The knowledge on the golf course, just learning each and every day when we get out there what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, where can I play from, where do I need to miss this? If I put myself in a bad place, how do I give myself an opportunity to make par? And then thirdly, the test of golf that was out there. It was a real sign of patience today, having G-ball in the bag and making sure I don't make really big errors out there. Albeit I almost did it on 15. I got away with one. But certainly talking through a lot more shots and making sure we know where the wind is coming from, when it's gusting, him pulling me off if he feels something different. And that's I think, what the test is out there this week.
Bob.
Bryson, on that 67 comment, and it sounds like you regret it, but yet when things are going right, is there some truth in that for you? I mean, the way you can, you know, possibly overpower a golf course.
You're trying to pigeonhole me into saying that again, aren't you? I'm not going to comment on that. I'll say, look, I'm going to go out and try and shoot the best score I possibly can. And sure, if you want to line the math up that way, that is a perspective you can take. It was a perspective I had, and it cost me a lot of slack, I guess you could say. It definitely hurt some things. But I'll say this again. I shot 65 today, and it was one of the best rounds of golf I've played in a long time. And there's 3 more days to go, and I'm not losing sight of that fact. It's right there in front of me. Just got to go execute.
Sure.
Bryson, you mentioned the Greenbrier, and this is the first major that you've played since that driver switch. Do you feel like the last 8 months have kind of been building to this round today?
Yeah, definitely. When I shot 61.58 on the weekend, I looked at G-Bo and I go, I can't wait for April. It's exciting. You never know what this week's going to bring. You don't know how things are going to shake out, but it certainly is exciting to see some good golf with the equipment that I have.
Maybe just a couple more questions. Sean?
Bryson, there's been a lot of change in your life the last few years, but I'm curious if you feel like your level of fame has changed at all, or if your presence in the sport has changed on any level.
What do you mean by that?
Your visibility, you mentioned YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, that's grown for you.
Mm-hmm.
Changing between tours would alter your visibility. Do you feel that your fame level has changed?
Look, I'm just trying to promote the game of golf in the best way I possibly can. YouTube being one of them, whether it's Instagram, X, or even Snapchat. I mean, it's crazy. I've gotten a crazy amount of love on Snapchat, getting over like 1 million views a day on Snapchat, and these people coming out of nowhere, patrons, saying, I love your Snapchat. I'm like, really? Like, they're loving it that much? That's awesome. So continue to grow those platforms in the way we know how is something I'm keen on doing, and I'm excited to do for the future. I think that's where everything's going. You look at what Mr. Beast has done, and there's a few other super famous people right now, Jinxie and Sketch, and they're growing their avenues and their aspects, and it's cool to see the cross-platforming capabilities, like these individuals coming and playing golf and seeing how much influence they have. It's really cool. It's just another avenue. I'll liken the fact of Dude Perfect, what we were able to do out here a couple years ago. We have to thank Augusta National for that, and the members for letting us come out here and shoot that video. It was quite a fun time, and it got a lot of views and a lot of exposure, and hopefully it was a great thing. I think that's just the way things are moving. And in regards to fame, I don't look at that. I just try to promote the game in a cool, new, unique way.
Do you idolize YouTube creators, or do you look up to them?
I respect them. I don't idolize anyone but God. I love God. That's it.
Dan.
Hey, Bryson. Or should I say, hey, brother?
You can say that.
You've mentioned equipment quite a bit. Are there any specific equipment changes that you make for Augusta? Anything you throw different in the bag?
I haven't actually this week. I tried to change the bounce up a little bit on the wedge, but didn't ultimately change the wedge, and just felt like it was working well when the conditions dried out a little bit. It was a little wet this morning, and thought I might need it, but it dried out pretty quickly with the wind. So
just to follow up on that, what are some of the equipment changes you have made recently that have really helped you, get dialed into where you are?
I put new irons in this week.
Yeah.
To start. I think that's a pretty big change, and then been using this new driver, 3-wood and 5-wood. So pretty much my whole bag is different since Greenbrier of last year, and putter's the only thing that's remained the same.
Chris.
Bryson, you often hear guys have received advice from legends that have played here. John Rahm from Jose Maria Althable, JT from Tiger. Have you ever received any advice like that from a legend here?
Unfortunately, I don't think I have. I've talked to Tiger a little bit. When we were close, we talked quite a bit about the golf course, and that was really cool. Talked to Mr. Nicholas a little bit. He just tells it as it is. Just hit the fairways and hit the greens, and yeah, the putts break towards Race Creek, and that's about it. But for the most part, no.
Joy.
Bryson, a few weeks ago when we were talking, you said that you want to be a machine. But in conditions like this, like the gusting winds and all, how much of an artist did you need to be out there over the 18 holes?
Yeah, I mean, trying to be a robot is always something I've tried to do, but it's not something that's feasible in this game that's ever-changing. I try to be as repeatable as possible, but just doesn't happen. This wind out here just makes it diabolical, and you've got to strategically play this golf course and put it in places where you can get up and down, or you can two-putt from and just get out of there. It's a lot of painting an image and trying to execute that shot out there compared to just hitting the same stock shot every time.
And last question, gentleman in the front.
Bryson, you talked about being a passionate person earlier. I think it's fair to say that it's easy for passionate people to get their feelings hurt when people criticize them. I'm wondering how you kind of learn to deal with that, because it seems like you're in a better place in terms of that stuff now.
Well, I've dealt with it my whole life. I was always different growing up, and I learned pretty quickly that not everybody's going to agree with you nor like what you're doing. And my mom always told me to respect others, treat others the way you want to be treated, and I try to do that as much as possible. And when somebody doesn't agree with me, I respectfully say, okay, appreciate that, but I think it's this way, and we're just going to agree to disagree. And that's kind of the way I've taken over the past, my whole life, essentially. And then the past year, essentially, a lot has happened in my life, and you realize the frailty of life and how precious it is, and you can't figure everything out, and you're not always going to be right, and respecting that, respecting father time, and understanding that enjoy the ride, smell the roses.
Well, thank you, Bryson, and best of luck the rest of the week.
Thank you.